So, have you ever wondered why some homes sit on the market for months or even a year without ever selling? Today, I want to tell you about a home right here in Pocatello that did exactly that. It was listed with two different agents, it sat for over a year, it expired, and then sold in 36 days once we changed a few important things. So, let's talk about what actually made the difference. This home was in a great area. It was in the Highland area of Pocatello. The sellers had already moved out, moved to Texas for work, but their Idaho home was still sitting there unsold, which meant they were still carrying the mortgage, the utilities, the maintenance, and all the stress of holding onto a property they don't no longer lived in, and this was a problem for them. The home had been on the market for over a year with two different agents. So by the time I talked with them, they were definitely frustrated and worn out. They'd been told the problem was just the market, that nothing was selling, and this was just how it was. But that wasn't the reality. When I looked closer, the home hadn't been placed properly in the MLS where it needed to be. There was a discrepancy with square footage, and the marketing wasn't where it should have been. There was no strong professional presentation. And on top of that, the price wasn't lined up with what the market data actually supported. So here were these sellers trying to move forward with their new life in Texas, while this house in Idaho just kept holding them back. It wasn't just a real estate problem, it was a financial strain. It was stressful, and there was real fear the home might not ever sell. So when I met with them, we did everything remotely over Zoom and the telephone since they were already out of state. And the first thing I did wasn't to tell them what they wanted to hear. I showed them the truth. We went through the market data together. We looked at the comparable sales. We looked at the market report, average days on market, list to sales price ratios, and what homes in that price range were actually doing in that part of Pocatello. So the home had previously expired at around 390,000, and based on the data, I recommended listing it at 360,000. And that's not always an easy conversation because naturally sellers want the highest price possible, and I understand that. But my job isn't to flatter someone into another failed listing. My job is to tell them what they need to hear so they can actually get the results they want. So we talked through the numbers, and I told them, you're the seller. You ultimately decide the price. My job is to guide you through the data. Once we had the pricing right, we rebuilt the whole strategy. We made sure the home was exposed properly in multiple MLSs. We corrected all the information, brought in professional photography, video, drone footage, blueprint of the home, so buyers could actually understand the value instead of just scrolling right past it. And there was no single magic trick to it. It was honest pricing, the right exposure, better presentation, and stronger marketing all working together. So the home went back on the market at 360,000, and this time the market responded. Instead of sitting for another year, we created real buyer demand. The property received multiple offers, and it sold for 370,000, which was 10,000 over asking. After more than a year in frustration, it sold in 36 days. For the sellers, this was a huge relief. They'd been carrying this home from another state. They were paying the utilities, arranging maintenance, trying to move on with their life in Texas while this property kept pulling them back. Once it sold, that weight was finally lifted. And my understanding is that selling that home also helped them move forward with buying a place in Texas. The review they left meant a lot to me. They said, Chris was absolutely amazing during this whole experience with us. Our house was currently listed for over a year and it expired. He called me and we listed it and sold it within 2 months. I would highly recommend him for any real estate needs. He was easy to communicate with and honest. Andrea was also amazing to work with and super helpful through it all. Thank you both so much for everything. And it's the word honest that really matters to me because in this business, honesty is often what actually gets the home sold. So what's the lesson here? If your home isn't selling, it may not just be the market. Sometimes it's the price. Sometimes it's the marketing. Sometimes it's the presentation or exposure. Sometimes it's the advice you're getting. And sometimes it's all of those things together. Experience matters. Hiring the right agent matters. And most of all, you need someone willing to tell you the truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable at first. Because the goal was never just to have the home listed. The goal is to actually get it sold. If your home is expired or it's been sitting without the activity you expected, I'd be happy to take a look, show you the data, and give you an honest opinion about what may need to change. You can call or email me anytime at 208-242-4313 or chris@realestate-idahofalls.com. You can find more at blog.realestate-idahofalls.com. As always, I'm Chris Schmalz with the Chris Schmalz Real Estate Group, where moves are made simple and life is made better. And I'll see you in the next video.